Let's go ahead and begin today's event, once again sponsored by Lexmark and hosted by Insurance Networking News. It's my pleasure to turn today's call over to our moderator for today, and that is Andy Mazer, contributing editor for Insurance Networking News. Andy, with that, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thanks, Aaron, and welcome everyone to today's webcast. You know, in today's competitive business environment, insurance companies are realizing how critical it is to communicate efficiently and engage customers who are more mobile than ever. Customers are online 24/7 and expect seamless self-service capabilities that are responsive to their needs. Savvy insurance companies also realize that they need to increase their own agility to roll out new products and services quickly and gain greater insight into their customers to both cross-sell and increase retention. In today's webcast, we will discuss how insurance companies can benefit from deploying a customer communications management platform that manages the conversation between the customer and the business. By eliminating time-consuming and error-prone manual processes, an integrated CCM solution empowers companies to deliver timely communications that are tailored for each specific customer. Our webinar presenter today is Daniel Schmidt, Product Marketing Manager at Lexmark. Daniel is responsible for the marketing plan, market requirements, and positioning for many Lexmark enterprise products, including Customer Communications Manager, Communications Server, and Communications Monitor. Daniel has 17 years' experience in the enterprise software industry and has worked in both large and mid-sized enterprises. And I'd like to remind everyone that Daniel will be responding directly to your questions later on in the webcast. So if you have a question, as Aaron mentioned, please type it into the question field on your console. And we encourage everyone to do this, and we will answer as many of your questions as time permits. Also, we'll be conducting a couple of audience polls during the webinar. We'll show the polling question and available answers, and you'll have about 30 seconds before the question closes out. So with that, I'd like to turn the floor to Daniel Schmidt. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you for the great introduction. So welcome everyone also from my side to this webcast about customer communications management today. And basically in this session, I would like to go through those three areas you can see here on the screen right now, where we start with a general overview about customer communications and why it is important to organizations in general. Andrew mentioned already some aspects of that, but we would like to go into more detail here as well. And as a next step, I would like to share with you how Lexmark is addressing the needs and requirements, and based on that, show you how in insurance, for example, policyholder communication can be optimized and resolve some of the challenges you might be experiencing already today. And I think even more important, how it helps to drive more business for you. But before we start with the policyholder communications, let me spend a few minutes discussing the world of customer communications management in general. I think it is important to clarify some terms and what we understand with customer communications management, or when we use the abbreviation sometimes CCM. So if we take a closer look at the world of CCM, it is really about communicating more efficiently with customers, whether it's a large batch of correspondence or on-demand mails produced as part of a business process, or even interactive document composition, which we will see a little bit later throughout this webcast. CCM also allows to use various channels, such as mobile, as you can see here, email. Still, print is very often important and needed. But in common, I would say for CCM is that in all the various use cases, we want to have highly personalized correspondence and increase the customer experience. I think this is really key here by having the customer decide how to communicate to them. So it's not an organization decision anymore. It's really driven by customers today. Also looking at some of the definitions from Gartner and Forrester, for example, we can see that they match very well with our understanding of the CCM area. So Gartner, for example, outlines here more effectively create, personalize, and deliver communications to any output, whereas Forrester says, for example, compose, format, personalize, distribute content through physical and electronic channels. So I would say, as a quick summary, both statements here say something like the composition and delivery of personalized content. That is key of that. But why is customer communications management really important? And why do we care and why do organizations care about that? So there are basically, I would say, two major drivers that we see. The first one is about customers and consumers in a complete new age of customer engagement that forces really organizations, and I think in particular also insurance organizations here as well, to address the changing expectations of customers here. As the consumers become more mobile and therefore much better connected than ever before, I think they have much higher expectations of how the communication should be done today or how it is done today. I guess you can easily share my experience here as well, but if I reach out to organizations, I want to get a useful response as soon and as fast as possible. Consumers are using a broad range of devices and channels, including traditional paper, email, text, social networks, or even web portals organizations are providing. And consumers become also more empowered, and I think that's really key here. Even in the insurance industry, they are looking for more self-service options when it comes to interacting with your organization. But it is not only about the consumers. I think also your organization need to become more agile and flexible in order to keep up with the consumer demands or with the customer demands here. So for example, more business agility is required, so you can implement new products and services faster, leverage better any cross and upsell opportunities. And also looking for ways to increase the customer retention and increase customers' lifetime value here. I think that's important. As you know, it's always, I think, cheaper to keep an existing customer than rather replace or get a new one. So onboarding a new one might be more cost intensive here than rather keeping an existing customer happy. And at the same time, having really a more holistic view, so the 360-degree view of a customer, and being able to understand the customer better, what he requires, and the new ways to leverage your also key legacy systems you have in place to improve the customer experience here. But I want to clearly state here, without changing your key systems here. So that is not what we want to do here, really. It's just make them part of the entire conversation. So going on here, we talked so far about the consumers and their expectations, and here's some information I brought with me that proves that the points we discussed so far are valid. So let me start with the first one. It was reported that consumers are willing to spend, for example, 13% more with a company that provides excellent customer service. I think you will easily find examples you can relate to that as well. But for me, I had that quite often when I purchased, for example, a product and the service was very well and the communication was very well. I was absolutely fine to pay a little bit extra because I felt confident, and if there is any issue, they will take care of that. And as a result, most likely I didn't choose the cheapest vendor. And if something goes wrong, consumers on average tell 60% more people about a bad experience than a good experience. Just take a look at social media, for example, and check out how many people of those you know complain about an organization rather than telling how good it was, for example. So you can see that's really happening today already. And over half of the interviewed consumers here indicated that they intended to conduct a business already with an organization, but they decided not to because based on a poor customer experience they had. Also here I can absolutely personally would say relate to that, because if I send to 3 companies, let's say, for example, a request for some information, and one answers within minutes, and the others after a few days or maybe sometimes weeks later, guess who I would pick? Most likely the one who is the fastest one. It's really that simple. So as a summary, those can be really huge numbers when it comes down to an organization's bottom line, I would say. So give it a try and think about if this has an impact to your organization and business as well. So we have seen how important customer communications management is, but how can CCM help here really to address all of that? If we go back somehow to the drawing board, for an organization, the customer communications should be as simple as outlined here, right? Wouldn't that be an ideal scenario? We have the customers here on the left side and the employee of the insurance company, for example, on the right side, and they want to have an efficient and meaningful conversation. If you ask your IT or maybe your mailroom department here, they might come up maybe with different pictures, how they see the kind of communications going on here. But ideally at the end, it should be as simple as outlined here. But we understand, I think everyone agrees with that as well, there is complexity and it's not that simple. So that's more the reality, even still simplified, I would say, but the complexity in today's business is really challenging here. And customers, which you can see here on the very left side in this picture, has various contact points, even to the same organization. For example, they might have an insurance through their company, let's say they are working for some kind of, for the organization there, and get some insurance based from on an employee benefits program, for example. On the other side, maybe through the retail channel by going to a branch office of a bank, or through an agent, for example, for a car insurance, or online through the web directly, an insurance can be sold directly to the customer. So you see the various channels here are available already today, and managing all of that is highly complicated. So we've talked about CCM, why it's important, and already got first impressions of the complexity. But why is it so difficult for organizations to have effective and efficient customer communications here in place? So there's, first of all, a lot of information and data already available in your organization. But those are often, I have to say, scattered across multiple systems and databases. And you might already have a lot of information and data to construct an effective and accurate communication variant systems, like in your policy admin system, in your claims system, or in any other external databases. Those include all this information about the customer, but the data is not leveraged today very often in your communications, especially across departments. Without an integrated CCM solution here, creating outbound communication is very often a manual process. It's extremely time-consuming, prone to errors, as Andy mentioned already in the intro, and inconsistencies will happen very often here. So knowledge workers have to deal with the composition and the creation of any communication, and it takes time that could be better spent on more business-related tasks at the end. And then the area of compliance. I think that's also important, where it's not only a struggle to find the correct information for customer communication, but there might be different requirements for specific types of communications. So for example, how long to archive certain information. Keep also in mind the changing rules and regulations that happens every time and that you are facing. How can you easily adjust to those? How can you change the communication simply? It's just not possible to manage that with manual or even semi-automated processes, I would say. The question that comes up now is, where are you with your customer communications related processes here? And with that question already, I would like to introduce here the Customer Communications Management Maturity Model. And we have developed this model as some kind of an, let's say, self-assessment tool that can be used to explore where you are today and what your needs and your requirements are for a potential CCM solution. I also want to emphasize here, and that's important, that it's not intended to point out that anything you're doing maybe right now is wrong at that point, but rather help you for an honest assessment of the current environment and how your customer communications is working today. So let's go quickly through that model, and you can see basically here, one too fast, sorry about that. You can see on the, let's say, left side, the gray background boxes here, the top needs and goals that organizations have when evaluating here customer communication solutions. And on the top side, we have the 3 levels where we can identify where your organization currently stands for each of the CCM needs here and goals. So the first one is about tailored communications, and that means now how specific or individualized, personal are your communications today. And semi-automated means here or indicates here basically that outbound communications are tailored based on the application from which they are generated. So typically limited to the application's capabilities, where it is very difficult to incorporate any other customer data from outside. The automated one here, environment, would start to see already more tailoring for groups and market segments. So you know those kind of letters going out, dear Mr. Smith, for example, and then you know it automatic, or you know this is some kind of a chain letter. And in the optimized environment, that would mean that all communications are tailored specifically for a customer. So you have a 360-degree view, and you can really create a very tailored communication here. If we talk about branding and how consistently your organization is using your branding, your corporate identity in all the communications. Again, in the semi-automated column here, this would mean there isn't really any standard branding or style applied to your communication. So your users or teams can decide on their own how it looks like. So it is not necessarily following any standards at that point, especially if they're using, say, simple Word documents or something like this. Automated would indicate here some corporate level style guides are applied, but any kind of templates need to be redone for every brand change or every change to any content, for example, which requires very often changes in several templates. Most likely you have multiple templates in place which you need to change them. And an optimized environment would mean that multiple brands can be produced with the defined corporate style guide. So someone defines that and everyone is really using that. So the content is also shared across the different brands, just as styles are applied and consistently used really for all the communication. And in the area of communication channels, what kind of channels are you using today? Email, fax, SMS, print, publishing info to a web portal, or are you connecting mobile apps already to your systems? Maybe you're not using certain channels because it would be maybe too complicated today to get it integrated with your processes and your application. So there are different perspectives to that. From a semi-automated perspective, so the first green bar here would indicate that no or very limited multi-channel distribution is really used. Most likely only one or few channels for a certain process is used where the application is built for. But changing the application is not maybe an option because that might be expensive and time-consuming. Automated means, you would start to include multi-channeling capabilities already, but more we call this in a passive manner, where, for example, a simple print stream from an application is converted into a static document. That's it. And maybe at the end, it's just attached to an email. In contrast to that, an optimized environment would have active multi-channeling, which uses really channel optimized communication that leverages the capabilities of the according channel here. So for example, in email communications, rather than just attaching a nice looking PDF document, dynamic HTML content is produced and that is sent out to the customer directly. So that's a complete different custom experience here. And the next one is about tracking and archiving. I think that's important as well. And how easily can you find past communications, for example, and prove what you have sent to customer if someone calls and complains about certain things. In a semi-automated environment, there is almost no record of the past, I have to say. In an automated environment, you would most likely have some limited archiving capabilities, but still it is very difficult to find communications across the entire organization, so cross-departmental. And in an optimized environment, you have a single point of access to easily retrieve and view any historical communications. So ideally, cross-department and cross-channel. And lastly here, we look at your application and data. So how easy is it to get the necessary information into your communications? In a semi-automated environment, again, it's represented by siloed data sources and mostly manual integration and maybe some manual input as well. In an automated environment, we would start to see already some dedicated sources of data, so databases, or ability to pull some information from multiple internal sources. But ideally, in an optimized environment, your CCM application can leverage data from all internal sources as well as external data, really enabling and providing the most personal communication possible. So in short, this maturity model helps you to identify where you are today and where you would like to set your priorities and what you would like to improve. And with that, go basically from more the left side here from this on the screen to the right side to fully optimize a process and get the most value from your technology investment. So we have talked about what CCM is so far, why it's important, and why it's hard for organizations to manage that. Now let's talk through how Lexmark can help organizations achieve their CCM goals and how we position this. So from a Lexmark perspective and Lexmark CCM solution perspective, we have a product which is called Customer Communications Manager, and it was really designed also here to empower the organizations to solve the challenges of communicating with customers with minimal IT effort. And this is key, and I will come back to this in a few seconds. So the solution is here to support the IT or the technical resources to manage the system, but basically the management of the content, the layout, is really done by the business. And they manage their business rules and the needs they have. They don't have to go back always to AD and ask for, can you make a change to template or something like this? They're able to do this on their own if needed. And the content of the communications is entirely really managed here by the business, and it doesn't rely on any technical expertise anymore. It's just adding some text information here, and which you get through nice-looking user interfaces here. I think the best way here to describe, and I like this overview here very much, about the Lexmark's Customer Communications Management software is that it transforms the data from your business applications, so from your existing business applications, which we call system of records here, such as your policy admin system or your claims management system, into communications that can be sent through any systems of engagements. This is how we call it, the channels which we talked before here on the left side, such as email, mail, faxes, SMS, whatever the channel might be here. And with the Lexmark CCM solution, here really you have the important link between your system of records and the consumer's preferred system of engagement. And this helps basically at the end to improve the customer experience by producing a personalized communication, which is sent through the preferred channels of the customer, and really having one platform in place which handles multi-branded communication. And that's especially interesting if you operate under different names. So if you're a large global organization for different states where you have maybe different brands and names out there, maybe even for products where they are rebranded in different other countries. Also, it simplifies and standardizes multi-channel delivery and make the communication channels available to all your business applications. So you don't have to change your business applications with CCM. You get access to all of that. And it ensures also that the communications are compliant with the ever-changing rules and regulations. And for sure, you can cut operational costs here as well, because you eliminate here the manual effort to create outbound communication. If you have quite a lot of effort with templates today, where people deal with that, CCM is definitely something that helps you to reduce that kind of effort. And when we take a closer look at some processes you might have today in your organization, we can definitely see three major use cases that are very well addressed by CCM. There is on-demand, there is interactive, there is batch. What does this mean? So we see very often that some organizations have been successful at solving one type of communication use case here, but not all of them on a single platform. So starting this time maybe from the right, so batch communications is very often very well known from a print perspective. So here we talk about structured output coming from business application and a large number of documents or batches which need to be sent out maybe during the night or at the end of a month, for example, or they're printed out and sent out. So that's typically batch processing. That should be a capability of a CCM platform. Now jumping to the left, the on-demand use cases where maybe someone uses a set of tools today like Microsoft Word or some kind of mail merge functions to create on-demand bulk communications. But typically in on-demand, we talk about individual triggered communications. So you can say it is more a transaction, but needs to be done in almost real time here. So think about a call center scenario where information needs to get sent out to the customer as quickly as possible. Then we have the interactive use case, which is based on demand from a concept perspective, but it requires input from the knowledge workers, especially at the time of the creation here. So interactively, the user is providing further personal information, which might not sit in any system so far before it gets sent out here. And all of these are reasonable use cases, but without a single platform in place, it only addresses most likely a part of the problem, and communications is usually inconsistent in the branding or in the content as well. So the benefit of Lexmark CCM solution is that it can easily and effectively handle all these three types of communication in your organization on a single platform. So I brought with me, here also some screenshots. So how does this look like? And what I was talking before, just to prove that a little bit and that you can illustrate what it is all about. So we talked about multi-branding. So one platform where you can handle all your communications needs. Not only about multi-branding, but also multi-language, for example. And you can see it's basically the same kind of document. It's an electricity invoice here, which you can see with the same content, but it has a different layout. It has a different logo, it has a different fonts, colors, page layout, and so on. But typically, for example, by marketing, the layout is managed here, so they define how it should look like because it reflects the corporate identity. On the other side, if someone wants to change a content for, in this case, electricity invoices, for example, it's changed only once, not in all the different, let's say, styling templates you might have here for the branding. It's just changed once, and it's automatically applied to all the different brands you have implemented here. So you can see already here the effort can be reduced dramatically. What else do we have? For example, this is an output from a CRM system, or it could be also another business application. That's already some kind of a policy information here from insurance. And you can see how intelligently here the data is really used in the document. It might be a little bit small to see, but on the right side, so on the right page of this document, you can see at the very top some names. So depending on how many people are covered by this insurance, for example, they will be listed there. You don't have to worry about the layout. CCM automatically makes sure it fits on the page, it looks nice, and has dynamic information in there. On the left side, there's an option specified, for example, because they subscribed to an additional option, and they can make use of that. And if someone does not have this simple text block will not appear here. So it automatically generates the right content for the one who receives this information here. And the interactive scenario I mentioned before, this is quite interesting, I think, for a lot of the business processes, especially in insurance. I brought here just one example with me, and I will show you another one a little bit later. But this one here shows very well how you navigate it through the process. You don't have to open up a template in Word, for example, or in any other application, type in all this information, get it converted into PDF and sent out via email. No, you're guided through that. This is just an example of a web page here, which you can integrate very easily in your business application. And you just select basically what kind of components should go into this contract. So a new employee will be here onboarded, so will be hired. And so the guy here in front of the screen selects several text blocks and also selects what job description should go into that. That's all he needs to do. Next step is, okay, I need to customize something because it says something like, or it doesn't have, for example, the senior title here in the product description. So let's go into that and just add senior as a title. Okay, perfect, that's done. Next step, because it's a new employee, most likely you don't have all the data in your system so far, specify the missing information that should go into this contract here as well. Type it in here, you navigate it through that, what is missing only, and key in this information. And at the end, after those 3 steps, it's done. Review the final document here with the nice looking layout and send it off basically. So just confirm everything is fine and it can get sent off automatically here. So you can see very simple to produce such a kind of document here, for example. Right, one more. Forgot about that now. Multi-channel communications. We talked about that before. Very simple. On the right side, a document, as we've seen before already, that is produced by the CCM platform. Nice structured, nice layout. On the left side, the content of an email is produced here as well. So we're not only attaching a PDF file, but the content can be highly customized and personalized here as well. So all that kind of capabilities and what we have seen so far, I would like to summarize here a little bit the benefits here really with a customer communications management solution here. And CCM helps you here really to improve the overall customer experience, and with that really ending up in high customer retention rates here as well, with the examples I gave before already. And in addition, you obtain here really operational efficiency, and as you can see, now you can really eliminate manual steps in the whole process, worrying about the templates, which one to pick, filling in information, and let the knowledge worker here really focus on their work instead of dealing with templates and completing any kind of complex documents. And with that, for sure, you have a quicker time to market, which allows to gain here really a competitive advantage over some other insurance options. And remember, we talked about the super connected customer before as a driver here, and you want to make sure you're responding here really as quickly and as accurate as possible to your customer. And I think with that, that would be a good time maybe to hand over to Andy quickly for a quick poll. Would that be okay for you, Andy?
Absolutely. Let's go to our poll question, Daniel. And folks will have about 30 seconds to fill this out, which I think should be adequate. We only have 3 answers here. Why is customer communications management important to you? And just choose one of the following, your top priority. We have improved customer experience, obtain operational efficiency, or fulfill compliance requirements. And I'm sure Daniel has his own guess as to which will get the most response here. So I'll give you about another 5 seconds, and we will go on to the poll results slide, and Daniel can speak to that. So here we go.
Okay.
Wow. What do you think, Daniel? Improved customer experience, 75%.
Perfect, I have to say. Exactly what I mentioned before, and this proves it a lot. I think there are a lot of initiatives going on in organizations today where they maybe have even a dedicated team already to take a look at the customer experience and improve that. So I think that's really spot on. So glad to see that, to be honest. Okay, good.
Okay, yes. Carry on then.
Okay, thanks. So I think with that, very good. Let me be more specific now, especially to the insurance industry here. And now that we really have covered CCM on a broader base and get the idea, let's walk through some use cases and business applications specific to insurance. And I want to focus here on the policyholder communication management. And this is just a small snippet and excerpt, basically, as obviously there are many more or other departments or functional areas within an insurance company. But from our experience, the 4 listed here have most likely the highest level of customer engagement, and those need most likely timely communications here. So this is in the area of, I would say, new business, which includes also the underwriting process, claims, premium accounting, and customer service. So let's go into a little bit more details here. Starting at the top left box here. Here during the new business and underwriting phase of a new policy, there's really, I think, a lot of communications going on and it's going back and forth, but all of them is required in order to complete this process. So this includes, for example, ad hoc communication from individual applications, and the types of communication will really vary by a specific line of businesses, like it, or might it be home, life, or auto insurance, for example, or others, whereas policyholder communication management here can handle all of them again on a single platform. And in several cases where the application, for example, is incomplete from a customer, or information might be just wrong, or there are forms missing. So let's say they are not in good order. So this is the NIGO abbreviation here. you must communicate with the applicant here or with the agent to get all this missing information. So there is a lot of communications going on. And on the other hand, when the applicant or the application is complete, so they are in good order, so this is the IGO abbreviation here, there may be compliance requirements to send an acknowledgement letter, for example, to the applicant. And once the new business and underwriting process is complete and a certain decision has been made, you most likely want to send some kind of a welcome package or welcome packet back here. In case the application was not accepted for various reasons, an according denial notice can be sent back. So for some line of businesses here, like in life insurance, you can easily come up also with modified offers where the customer can accept a policy slightly different from what they applied for. So maybe there are some additions they would like to sign up for as well. And all should be here really handled in a corporate look and feel with a similar, let's say, tone here as well, so also from a content perspective, that everything comes from one organization. And yeah, it can also handle for sure in those processes more, let's say, structured and systematic communication, like the policy print processes you might have very often in place here as well. And as we move over to the claims processing here, we see some similar needs, but for example, once the first notice of loss is received in this case, there are very strict compliance guidelines often in place, and basically stating here how and when you want to communicate to customers. So you have most likely deadlines here as well, which you have to take care of. And acknowledging the receipt of the notice and sending the claim package here must be really completed in a timely and compliant manner. So time is here really critical. So if you're in a company that does business in multiple states or in different countries, you know that each state or each country has different rules to that as well in the claims processing, and in particular how the claimant is really contacted and how the information needs to be sent to the claimant here. And in the interest of the customer, so from their perspective, these kind of communications are really time sensitive. Very short in the area of premium accounting, I would say we can help here to solve also the challenges with the variety of billing and collection of related communications here, including premium notices, grace lapse notices here, reinstatement letters, as well as insufficient funds notices or other failed payment events that might occur in those processes. And in customer services, we covered it a little bit before, we most probably have the most ad hoc and interactive kinds of communications as you've seen before. So customers most likely may contact the contact center, so the service center, with any kind of question. And if you want to provide a good customer experience to them, you have to send the customer a written explanation of the conversation back somehow. And this is also an important way to formalize and document any information that may have been communicated over the phone before, for example. So we have collected here some of the more standard types of customer service communications, which is like forms request here, confirmation statements, when a policy change is executed, renewal, or other notices here as well, like anniversary notices. I think it's quite obvious that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other events and opportunities where timely and personal information is important in those policyholders' processes. These are really just few examples of where policyholder communication management can help and manage those communications events in a timely manner. So if you think about your organization, maybe you can identify similar cases where customer communications can be further improved. And I think with that, Andy, I would like to hand over to you again for a quick second poll here.
Okay, Daniel. So this is our second poll, folks. Which insurance use case has the most value for your CCM project? 4 responses, pick one. New business and underwriting, claims processing, premium accounting, or customer service. And we'll wrap this up in just a few seconds. Make your choices now. And here we go to the results. It's close, but customer service wins with 45%. What do you think, Daniel?
Yeah, that's also quite interesting. And yeah, I was thinking about a quite good distribution here, but customer services seems here to be the most dominant one. And I guess this fits together with the customer experience because customer services, yeah, they are every day in contact with customers. This is really a central point of contact for the customers here as well. So this fits perfectly together. So if you have initiatives or customer experience initiatives, I think customer services is one of the processes here and departments here most likely that's important to start looking into that into more detail. So perfect feedback here. Okay, and I think with that, I would like to summarize here a little bit how this can really look like in your organization. So you provided now feedback very well here, where you see room of improvement maybe. And I brought with me here one more example so that you can illustrate how that looks like a little bit. And yeah, I used just a demo site here basically to show how this works, but you can again easily imagine this can be implemented into your business application. So it's embedded. You don't have to switch any other application like a CCM application here. This can be fully embedded. As you can see, it's absolutely based here. But this process here starts yeah, from the policyholder communication management system, and someone in front of the screen here creates basically a new claims package. So it just clicks on the list of templates. This could be renamed. The look and feel can be completely changed for sure, but the user just clicks on that. And again, he's guided through this process. I just took one screenshot here where someone enters adjuster information here as a next step. There's maybe some other information they have to provide as well, but it's really that simple. If information is not available in your databases, you just can fill it in interactively here. Once you're completed with that, you get the results previewed here, so you can see the claim package. And what you can see here as difference before is it's not opening up here a PDF document, but a Word document. So we can generate here also a native Word document where you now can start customizing as you want if you want to allow this to your users. But you can even further personalize this. And as you look maybe at the telephone number at the very bottom of this document, it just lists the office phone number. So the user decides, I want to make it very personal, and I add my mobile phone number, for example, as well, because I'm an agent here who works here. Enter this information here directly, and that's all I wanted to do here for personalization. Perfect. That's simple. And at the end, either you print it out if needed, or it gets sent out via email automatically with a PDF as a result to the customer here. And for sure, it gets stored in your archive or in your content management system, so you can look up this information at any time. So again, a very well-guided process here, just few steps, and you don't have to worry about any other technical issues here in the background, where to save, where to copy, where to attach certain information. It's that simple. Okay, I'm coming to the end very soon, so we have then time for questions as well. And I brought just one more slide here with me about some statistics. And we have talked now through some insurance use cases for CCM, and here are some interesting statistics from the Aberdeen Group. As you can see, on the horizontal axis are the categories where the dark green bars show the year-over-year improvement without a communications management technology here in place, whereas the light green pillars here show the improvement again year-over-year when you have a CCM solution implemented. So quickly skimming through it, I think we covered most of that already. You can see that typically cross and upselling revenues are higher, as a perfect customer engagement and experience leads more likely to more revenue as well. With that said, it increases the customer lifetime value as they more likely come back on a frequent base to make business with you. And as communications is highly efficiently now created, the average costs here per customer contact are significantly reduced. And by incorporating maybe very targeted marketing programs as well in your communications, the return on investment is higher here as well. Last but not least, with an excellent customer experience, it's a good summary of that. the customer rate, or the customers basically, they rate those organizations better, which is represented here with the Net Promoter Score. So we are now at the end, and the quick summary here would be, we've seen how important customer communications management is nowadays, and by linking the two sides together, so the system of record with the system of engagement, and providing excellent customer communication, your business really turns into a powerful conversation here with your customers. So as we went back to the drawing board before, it should be that simple. And if you have, or basically if we want to summarize or highlight, one of my personal important topics here to remember from today's session would be really one platform can address all three of the use cases, which are here: batch, on demand, and interactive for your customer communication. So with that, I would like to thank you for your attention and hand over to Andy for the Q&A session.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Daniel. And we have a few questions from our audience that have trickled in the last few minutes. I'd like to encourage everybody to please submit a question. And if everybody did, we wouldn't have time to answer them all today, in which case I understand that you, Daniel, will follow up with personal responses to any outstanding questions.
Sure.
Yeah, great. Okay, so first question from Ken. In the interactive use case, there is interaction with the user. Do I have to deploy a separate application for that, or can it be embedded into my business application as well?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think most likely you would like to embed that, and this is what you really can do here. So if your application is web-based, I think you've got already an impression from today here. It's very easy to embed this as well, but also in other applications. So we provide some user interfaces if needed, if you don't have anything in place here today for customer communications, but it's easily integratable into your application here as well.
Okay, thanks. Sandy wonders, do you maintain version controls / audits of changes made to templates?
Not a very good question. I didn't cover that, but I was hoping this question is coming. It has complete audit control. So it means managing templates. First of all, we provide access only to those users who should have access to. So for example, legal can change only legal text blocks, for example, but they cannot change the layout like the corporate identity. This is assigned to marketing. And whatever change is done, we have full audit control. We can also revert back if there is any issue with a new deployed template. And we have also the mechanism here for a four eyes principle. So someone makes changes, but someone else has to review it before it goes live and published.
Okay. From Vivian, we have a question. You mentioned that you can use data from disparate systems. Can you give some examples of what type of systems this data can come from?
Yeah, so another good question. So there are different ways to do this, but to simplify maybe the answer there, it's almost independent from where the data is coming from. There are some interfaces we out of the box provide. Might it be web service interfaces? Might it be through databases? And it could be handed off, this information, as part of the process when CCM is triggered to create some kind of communications here, but also during runtime, it can basically pull information from some data sources. So that's all possible here. And to give some examples, so I know a lot of people have SAP in place or maybe using Salesforce and that kind of stuff. That's all easily attachable to a CCM solution. It's just, integrating it with CCM and you're good to go.
Okay. We have a question from Ron. How involved is my IT department, or I guess a typical IT department, in managing the customer communication solution?
Yeah, so for sure, IT is still involved, and that's important because they are hosting, if you want, the platform. They have to make sure the system is up and running and it's working 24/7 because it's important to the organization. But That's basically all about it. Yes, they can be more involved if needed, and they can be involved in creating some frameworks for templates as well when it becomes maybe more complex. But on a general level, the rest is pushed out to the business owners here, to the business users. So as I mentioned before, like the layout, like the content, the various departments are contributing on their own, and they don't have to, maybe you know this from your organization, submit something like a ticket to IT to say, I need a change in this template if this is already somehow centrally managed, for example. So that all is not necessary anymore, and this takes a big burden off from the IT guys. And yeah, on the other side, the business users can faster make changes to the content and layout if needed.
Okay. Well, thank you, Daniel. That's all we have time for right now. But again, I want everybody who's submitted a question that has not been answered to know that Daniel will get back to you. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today for our webcast, Make It Personal, the World of Customer Communications Management.